Welcome to Legends, a series that delves into the lore within Horizon Forbidden West. In this episode, we finally begin our exploration into some of the most fearsome machines Horizon has to offer, the combat class. Specifically, those who have been designed or modified to take on the tribal populace of the 31st century. Though all machines in this class are built for combat, some did not begin their journey with this as their original mandate. Let's begin with the Grimhorn, a machine's creation we witnessed firsthand during our time in the Forbidden West. Modified from the Plowhorn land god Fa of the Utaru within Repair Bay, Tau. A process that the subordinate function charged with machine creation, Hephaestus, has employed several times since being severed from GAIA in 3020. But more on that later. Based on the morphologies of the prehistoric Ceratopsidae family, as part of its combat modification, the Grimhorn carries blaze rather than adhesive to fuel more deadly elemental attacks, as well as two large cluster launchers, firing discs that detonate in the air, raining down explosives beneath. Streams of flame and fire-augmented slams are only a few ways this hunter-killer can go about dealing with an enemy. When close, much like his predecessor, the Grimhorn will strike out with its tail, large horns, or charge head-on at its prey. A far cry from the docile terraformer that it once was, the Grimhorn is also more sturdily built than the Plowhorn to endure the rigors of combat, boasting over twice the standing power from an HP perspective. Our most recent reminder in just how potent Hephaestus can be when it sets its mind to eliminating those who hunt its creations. But this is just the latest in a line of turning GAIA's machines against her reborn populace. The Stalker was not always the stealthy assassin we know today. Much like the Grimhorn pre-derangement, this machine was much different, only being modified after GAIA's fall. The most stark difference we know of, thanks to the official Rost cosplay guide released by Guerrilla, is that its armor was white rather than black. As far as what class it originated from, due to its agility and potential stealth tech at the time, I think this ancestor machine would have been ideal for the Recon class, able to observe and detect threats without machine hunters even being aware of its presence. Though still masters of stealth, the Stalker is now more than equipped to quietly dispatch any who would pursue them. Known to the Karja as the Shimmering Death or the Glinting Shadow, the Stalker utilizes optical camouflage to make them nearly invisible. On the sides of trees and ruined buildings, they lie in wait until it's time to ambush their prey, akin to jaguars or tree lizards of the ancient past. When a hunter triggers one of the machine's alarm flares, for most, it's already too late. From the shadows, the Stalker will fire its back-mounted dart gun with deadly accuracy, bringing down most before they even know where the attack came from. When it decides to close the distance, it will strike out repeatedly with razor-sharp claws or slice you with its whip-like tail. As long as the Stalker's stealth generator is functional, it will continue to cloak itself, even from focus technology. The best chance a hunter has to bring down this quiet killer is to spot it before it spots you. If you can destroy its stealth generator before alerting one to your presence, then at the very least, you'll be facing a deadly adversary that you can see. Another machine that once aided GAIA in terraforming a barren planet into the revitalized world we know is the Stormbird. Under the jurisdiction of the subfunction Aether, the predecessor of this machine once worked to detoxify the ravaged atmosphere left in the wake of the Pharaoh Plague, a revelation confirmed in a number of different dialogues within the second game. We've previously speculated that this ancestor machine may have used its potent electrical capabilities to create nitrogen oxidants, which can aid in the cleaning of the atmosphere and help in the creation of ozone, both being quite useful in the process of bringing the biosphere back to a livable state. Post-extinction signal, these colossal robotic eagles would become the terror of the skies that has struck fear into the hearts of even the bravest in Horizon's world. But one notable instance would see a warrior earn acclaim in battling one, despite the outcome. Though Aloy would eventually be among the very few who flew on the wings of the Ten via a Sunwing, the SkyClan warrior, Farika, would be the first to claim this honor when she was carried off by a Stormbird high into the cliffs before falling victim to the machine. This would posthumously earn them the honor of the first to take flight, despite her eventual demise. Only one of many who have fallen to the Stormbird. A powerful heavyweight flyer who harnesses its massive size and shock capabilities to great effect on any who cross into its territory. Typically more solitary, the Stormbird is more than a challenge on its own, taking flight and raining down blasts of electricity from above with its storm cannon before soaring even higher to dive bomb its prey. Even when grounded, the machine is formidable, creating massive gusts of wind with its wings, striking with its beak and talons, or marching forward surrounded in a sphere of electric energy. Destroying its storm cannon is a top priority in the hunt. But don't get reckless, as the machine has more than one way to add another hunter to its list of kills. These machines are all prime examples of what Hephaestus combat modifications can achieve when applied to GAIA's original designs. But the next we mean to discuss is even more intriguing in its abilities and unique mandate. Another fearsome heavyweight flyer, the Dreadwing. Designed off the morphology of bats, their scanning and cloaking capabilities make them among some of Horizon's most effective hunter-killers. During the day, Dreadwings can be spotted hanging upside down or clinging off the walls of ancient structures, awaiting the coming night. Once darkness has arrived, they take flight, patrolling the skies, waiting to strike down any unsuspecting tribesfolk who are unlucky enough to be targeted by the machine. Much like the Stalker, the Dreadwing's cloaking generator can make the machine nearly invisible when active, making the process of targeting it while in flight in the night sky a terrifying proposition. When it chooses to attack, its arsenal is quite varied, including time-delayed bombs, acid sprays, and blinding flashes to systematically disorient and destroy their adversary. Up close, the Dreadwing will lash out with its wings and fangs, relentlessly slashing and piercing. But that's not all. When the machine has been damaged enough, it will enter its plague state, surrounding itself in one of three gases, enhancing its capabilities as well as hampering that of the enemy. Depending on what canisters remain intact on the machine, these states can be noxious, dampen damage, or drain the stamina and endurance of those facing it down. If its fangs aren't actively trying to run you through, the Dreadwing can bite into the carcass of an unlooted machine and draw energy from it, enhancing its own attacks. For some 40 seconds after the vampire leech, its attacks are 25% more effective, taking the already high stakes of the fight even higher. Even if you manage to be on the winning end of the hunt, if damaged enough, the Dreadwing can use its antenna to call reinforcements, potentially turning the tide in its favor against the skilled hunter who had it on the ropes. All of these abilities and armaments make the Dreadwing a very literal killing machine, but in my opinion, not what truly sets them apart from the others in this class. Rather, it's what these machines have done in the service of fellow subfunctions, Demeter specifically, that make for some fascinating revelations. After the code shackles that bound the subordinate functions to GAIA were broken, Demeter would flee and take refuge in the FAS agricultural lab known as the Greenhouse. Here, Demeter would harness the ancient technology originally intended to be the silver bullet against the Pharaoh Plague to ideally prevent a second coming of a similar apocalypse, a subject we explored at length in a previous episode if you want to know more. How this is relevant here is that Demeter's metal flowers would be distributed across the land not by any transport class machine, but by Dreadwings. This is quite the precedent to be sure, as this means that despite Hephaestus's ever-increasing aggression towards humans and evolution as an AI, it still seems to be holding true to a core piece of its original mandate, supporting its fellow subordinate functions in achieving their respective missions even without GAIA's oversight. We've known that many machines still continue to serve the goals of the terraforming system into Horizon's present, but to see a machine built as a hunter-killer serve a mandate that's outside of Hephaestus's and Zero Dawn's original programming is just another example of how much the system and its subfunctions have changed after the extinction signal arrived. Next we come to a machine that many of us first battled in the East, a capable killer up close and from afar, the Ravager. These wolf-inspired machines can often be seen in pairs, either roaming the wilds or escorting transport-class convoys as they make their way to their intended destinations. Though these midweight machines may no longer be the apex predators among the class as they once were by comparison to Hephaestus's newer offerings, they're still more than capable of holding their own. Their claws can prove fatal as it closes the distance on its prey, while using its powerful jaws, augmented with shock, to deal the final blow on those still left standing. Their most iconic feature, however, comes from their ranged option of choice, their back-mounted cannon. Whether stationary or on the move, this cannon fires bursts of energy projectiles, swiveling across the field to riddle any hunter bold enough to dart from cover. Of course, one of the most common and effective strategies for dealing with these machines is to dislodge their cannon and turn their own weapon against them. A strategy that really puts into perspective just how devastating a weapon a ravager cannon can be for both the hunter and the hunted. Now we come to the only mountable combat class machine we are yet to see in the world of Horizon, the colostrider, and its elemental variants. Based on the morphologies of the prehistoric Utah and velociraptors, these agile midweight machines can be found prowling nearly all corners of the Forbidden West. Normally found in small packs, they're quick to engage and are purpose-built to bring down hunters with ease. Jaws lined with chainsaw blades, claws on its hands and feet for ripping and pouncing on adversaries, and a razor tail for the classic version of this machine all make melee combat a nightmare for those hoping to bring one down. Beyond augmenting attacks with either acid or blaze, elemental variants also have a few defining differences from the original iteration, principally swapping the razor tail for elemental bomb launchers, a weapon that helps both the acid and fire clostriders stay dangerous at range and keep hunters from becoming too comfortable. These elements also make them more dangerous up close, as dealing enough damage will trigger their smoldering immolation ability. Venting continuous streams of fire or acid, it will surround itself in the element and leave residual effects on the surrounding area it touches, injuring anything close enough to the machine or where it had previously tread. So always be alert when traveling the wilds, as you may run into a pack of these deadly machines when you least expect it. Last on our list for this video is the walking fortress of the West, the Tremor Tusk. A four-tusked mechanical mammoth, these machines are among those like the colostrider that Regalla and her rebels prioritized overriding to turn against Hekarro and his Tenakth in her search for vengeance, and it's no wonder why. These machines come heavily armored for a variety of different combat situations, boasting shock, flame, and plasma among its arsenal. At the front of the machine, plasma cannons are mounted on either side of the trunk, with a staggering range of up to 54 meters from the machine. At mid-range, its trunk serves as a massive flamethrower, scorching anything that comes within 20 meters. Up close, its colossal tusks and front legs can gore and crush anything that's managed to survive up to this point. Salvo cannons cover the machine's sides, making any kind of angle advantage rather moot, along with its shock cannons, with homing projectiles that will track you even if you manage to steer clear of the front of the beast. If you think you're safe behind the Tremor Tusk, be sure to keep your distance, as if you're close enough, you may find yourself caught in its seismic thunder slam, detonating 360 degrees from the machine and reaching nearly 20 meters out. The shockwave will electrocute anything in its vicinity. One of the most sturdy machines across the class, those modified by Regalla's rebels would be fitted with platforms to hold soldiers who would fire upon any who dared interfere with their mission. No matter when or where you fight one of these machines, try your best to prepare as best you can. Attempt to disable its most potent weapons, destroy elemental payloads, and steer clear of its charge and tusks, as nearly all of the Tremor Tusk capabilities can put an end to a hunt before it really even has a chance to begin. This concludes part 1 of our exploration into Horizon's combat class machines, but we have so much more to go. So be sure to tune in next time as we close out our mini-series on these iconic machines and dive into some of the most dangerous we've seen on this planet and beyond. And that brings our journey to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you're hungry for more Horizon lore, consider subscribing and checking out the rest of our lore library. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon so we can keep making content just like this. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep questing.